Hi, I'm Ella Pugh, and this is my Weekend 3 assignment for ESP 103. It's a podcast-style interview, and I'm going to be talking to the president of the Miami Hope Club, Lexi Fields. So, Lexi, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about Miami Hope?
Yeah, hi, my name is Lexi Fields. I'm a junior here at Miami. I was in something called Hope Squad when I was in high school, and when I got to college, I wanted to kind of do something like that here. So I went ahead and started Miami Hope. So we're in our second year, which is so crazy, but we are basically a suicide prevention, mental health awareness org on campus.
So, why is mental health important to you?
There's kind of like two sides to it. I have a personal side, so I personally have anxiety and depression. I've had it since I was 10 years old, and I was lucky enough to get therapy at a young age, which I'm very grateful for. And I know that not everybody has the resources that I was able to get, and it's really hard to get treatment. So I wanted to share what I learned. I probably would not be the person I am today or even be here without therapy. I have had suicide attempts, and I also lost one of my good friends in middle school to suicide. So it's a very prominent thing in my life. And although I've kind of grown up and I'm healthy and I've recovered, I still deal with it, and it's still a huge part of my life. So I know how much it impacts people, and we don't talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Especially in college.
Yeah, for sure. And I've the other side is I've seen, I've watched. Everybody can see their peers and what they go through, and we all know what's going on.
Yeah.
We just don't really talk about it.
Yeah.
And I think having an org or having just a safe space on campus is really important for people that want to talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. So why do you think mental health should be important to students specifically, at Miami?
College, high school, suicide is the second leading cause of death for our age group, the first being car accidents. Yeah. And obviously that's a huge number that you wouldn't necessarily know. Most people have been affected by mental health or suicide. Everybody has mental health. There doesn't need to be mental illness or anything in your life for you to be aware of your mental health. And it's just like physical health. You eat healthy and you do things for your body, but you also need to do them for your mind and make sure that you're doing okay mentally. So here at Miami, I think we have a great campus. We have a great student body, and I think people are able to find places where they feel like they're themselves, but also we need to make sure that we're talking about it being okay to not be okay, right? It's making sure that we're putting ourselves first and making sure that we're kind of staying afloat instead of drowning and just kind of trying to trudge through everything. But it's really important for students, everybody, to think about their mental health, and especially on college campuses.
Right. So since you started your own club here at Miami, did you feel as though it wasn't as prominent or looked upon, or did you just want to add to our clubs? Or how did you go about?
I saw a big problem. I'm not gonna lie. There were personally, I tried to get help and I couldn't find it. When I looked at the school, I was too severe for them to treat, and then I could not find, or I didn't think I was, but I guess I was classified as too severe, so I was not able to receive help here at the university. So I looked in Oxford. I was a freshman. I didn't have a car. How am I supposed to get to therapy? And so I didn't have any treatment options, and I still don't, which is really unfortunate. And although I've seen a different side of what Miami offers through this org, not everybody sees that. They don't know what's offered, and they don't know what they can find. And I just wanted to get students in classrooms that can help their peers if they need it, and also to provide a space for people that don't necessarily have anywhere else to go, because I was that student. Yeah. And I think we have a lot of goals in trying to change it here on campus, whether that be working with student counseling or with Miami in general, whether that's providing things for the student body. I just want to make sure that students have what they need. So it's a mixture of both. I think it's evolved over time, but it originally started because I really didn't see help for people on campus.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
So that kind of leads into my next question. What more can be done for to help the students in need, whether that's from a student perspective or the university perspective?
Yeah. To me, prevention is always most important. So like I said, I had the privilege of going to therapy, and I learned so many coping skills and so many ways to deal with what I was going through. And those are not widely accessible to everybody. And I think the best thing that we can do to prevent suicides or suicide attempts is to make sure that our mental health is being looked after before it gets to the point of crisis. So if we are realizing that we're struggling or things are just getting a little overwhelming, I want to have people equipped with coping skills that they can use that they know help them. And so it helps them kind of pull them back out of that so they don't keep going further down into crisis and kind of in the mode where there could be a potential for something happening.
So what kind of coping skills do you suggest to a lot of students?
Yeah, so we at Miami Hope, we provide coping skill binders to students through a couple of our events. Some of the most widely used are mindfulness, which I use a really great app called Headspace, which students get it for $10 a year, which is one of my favorite things. I've used it since high school. We also have things like muscle relaxation, grounding techniques. There's deep breathing, so many different kinds, and there's a wide range from different types of therapies that people can use, and there's not a one-size-fits-all for coping skills. So something that works for me might not work for somebody else, but we have so many that we can kind of pick one and figure out if it works for us and things like that. So I think providing coping skills is the most important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a general question, why do people overlook mental health and just everything about it, especially different groups of people like men?
It's the stigma.
Yeah.
It's the way our society has been formed. It's the way that things are looked at collectively as a society. I think individually there are many people who feel that it's important and who are there, but as a whole, I don't think people necessarily feel comfortable talking about that, which is something that we can totally destroy, especially on campus. I think there's so much potential to reduce the stigma. Talking about men, there is a whole side of mental health that is masculinity based. One person that I really like that talks about this is Justin Baldoni. He has his own podcast if anybody is interested, but he kind of talks about masculinity and breaking that down and what it means to be a man and be okay with your feelings and sharing that openly. And for men that are listening or people that are listening that feel like they're not comfortable enough to share those things, I get it. And it's okay. We will get there, and there are safe spaces that you can speak that way, but I really hope that we get to the point in society where we can talk about it openly, and it will continue to happen. Things will be pushed under the rug as long as it is that kind of environment. I don't really have an answer for why.
Yeah.
I wish that I could just fix it overnight, but it's just the way that we are, and I really hope that we evolve. I think we are starting to, but I don't know. Yeah. That's such a hard question.
Right. What can we do as students or a professor to get more of those types of people open to getting help? And because there's a lot of resistance with getting help with mental health, because a lot of men in my experience want to be they don't want to tell their friend they're having a hard time or issues with mental health because they're scared. Yeah. So what can we do as a student perspective or a professor's perspective to help those students?
Well, first of all, I want to acknowledge that asking for help is so brave, like so incredibly inspiring that people are willing to put that forward. And sometimes they're not, and that's okay. And sometimes it just doesn't feel safe to do so. And as peers, as professors, we can educate ourselves on warning signs. We can educate ourselves on what it looks like for people to struggle, and we can reach out. We can say, you know, I'm safe, you're safe with me, and if you are ever feeling this way, please, I'm open to talking about it. Professors, I think really the way that they conduct their classrooms and the way that they speak about the topics really make students feel comfortable. So providing openness and an opportunity for people to approach you if they need to is the most important. There's something called QPR, and I would encourage everybody to get trained in QPR, but that kind of really teaches you how to go about that as well. And I think you probably have questions about that later, but really just making yourself a person that people feel they can talk to and that are comfortable with no judgment. And you really have to commit to that, right?
Yeah.
You can't say like, I'm not going to judge you, I totally like get it, but then you judge them. It's, you know, we're all human, but at the same time you have to be really conscious about how you conduct conversations and things like that.
Awesome. So you talked about QPR. Can you like explain what it is and how you get certified and where you can go to get certified?
Yeah, so QPR is a program, a crisis intervention program that's provided by the QPR Institute, and it stands for Question, Persuade, Refer. It's a process that you go through when somebody is in crisis. It's the same as CPR for physical health, so somebody that is, you know, struggling physically, you do CPR on them. All of us are mostly trained or aware of what to do. And so our goal with QPR is kind of to get to the same level. And it's interesting because most people that are suicidal will make it known, whether it's directly or indirectly. There's normally cues. And you know, when we have toothaches, we tell people. When our back hurts, we tell people. But when we are depressed, we don't, for the most part. And QPR helps you see the warning signs, see the behavioral clues, and approach a person and ask them if they're okay. And then if they say no, and you have the conversation, it helps you to A, question if they're safe, question if they need help, if they need to get to somebody immediately, if they're thinking about harming themselves, how to encourage them to stay, and then also referring them to the help they need. You will be equipped with all of that. It doesn't mean that you're a mental health professional by any means, but I believe that everybody should be trained in it, and it really helps you conduct conversations like that. It's offered through Miami Hope, my org. We do trainings with the Hawk peer educators, and our request form is through the Office of Student Wellness's page. There's a Hawks request form, and you can go in and request QPR trainings. And also, Miami Hope has social media pages, and we kind of advertise whenever we do QPR trainings as well. So they're completely free, they're completely open to the public, and we're more than willing to give those trainings if people are interested.
Awesome. So why, in your opinion, do you think QPR is the best approach?
I think for those of us that aren't mental health professionals, it is the closest we'll get to providing a appropriate and researched method of getting people help. I think as peers, we can support people, and that's great. And whatever you can do is wonderful, as long as you're helping people, right? You're putting yourself out to be a friend. But with QPR, it gives you resources in your back pocket to pull out during the conversation, and it just gives you everything that you need to accomplish getting somebody help. I know that I just keep saying that over and over, but that's the main goal. Personally, when I was suicidal, I was in crisis. I was in something called Hope Squad. Like I said, it was a task force of students within my high school, and I was a part of it. And we knew QPR, and so we were in each classroom, and the hope was if we were in a classroom, enough classrooms, we would kind of see if any student, needed us or needed QPR. And I needed QPR, which is kind of ironic because I'm the one that's supposed to be doing it. But I was in class, and one of my Hope Squad peers noticed that I needed help. I actually had decided that it was my last day. I was saying goodbye to everybody. I was just completely, I had given up, and it was my final goodbye before I left. And they noticed, and they used QPR on me. And even though I knew what was happening the literal entire time, I could, in my brain go, oh yeah, we're switching to Persuade now, which is really funny. It still saved my life. It's still, I'm here today because the person in Hope Squad decided to use QPR and get me the help that I needed.
Yeah.
And so personally, I think QPR is the best because I know that it works. I am the person that it worked on. And from a person who teaches it and uses it, that's another perspective. I can see it work. So I kind of have the two perspectives that are unique in QPR and practicing that.
Yeah. That's crazy. So how can more of us get involved in Miami Hope or know more, where can we go to find Miami Hope?
Miami Hope in general, just like the org? Okay. So Miami Hope is an organization on Miami's campus. So we are on the hub. We're part of the big web of organizations that you try and go through at the beginning of every year, which we kind of get lost sometimes. But we are on the hub. So if you go on to Miami's hub, you'll type in Miami Hope and we'll pop up, and you can request membership there. And once you're there will be a membership form that takes you to a Google form, and it will ask your information and things like that. And then as soon as you fill out that form, you'll get a welcome email with all of our information, our next meeting, and some events that are coming up. We also have an Instagram. That's what we use the most. We're trying to expand our social media presence, but right now we just have Instagram. We're at MU Miami Hope, and we post everything there. So we'll have meeting updates, kind of agendas for the meeting, important information, those kind of things. And then you can also reach out to us over email. So the Miami Hope email is just miamihope@miamioh.edu, and my email is fieldsai@miamioh.edu, and you can reach out to any of those. And we need as many members as we can get. Like I said, if we have students in every aspect of student life, then hopefully no student will go unnoticed. If we have someone in every corner, there will be eyes on every student. And so my goal is to have students from all walks of life, all walks of areas of campus. We want everybody. So if you have even a slight interest in being trained, please come join us, or please come check it out, because you could save a life. You really could. I know it sounds kind of out there and you don't think you'll ever use it, but I use it all the time, sadly, and many people do too. And so I want, to equip as many people that are interested.
So do you have to be a member in order to go to any of the meetings or events that you guys host?
Absolutely not, no. We are open. All of our things are open for a reason. Like I said, we understand that people have lives and it's busy, and college is really wild sometimes and hard to go to meetings weekly. We do have weekly meetings, but if you can't make them, you can still come to any event, and anything that you are willing to help us with or be involved in, we're appreciative of it.
Of course. Well, is there anything else you'd like to say or touch upon?
Really, I just want to encourage everybody to be the change that they wish to see. And I know that sounds really cliche and cheesy, but the world can change based on one person, 10 people, 100 people. The more people that we get to talk about mental health, that we have expressing positivity about being kind to your mind and being kind to others is so important.
Yeah.
Smiling at people when you walk past them or asking people how their day was, it goes so far, especially in an age of being online so much. Comparison is at an all-time high when we're in college and at Miami, and you have the power to be the kind person, to be the one that people can go to. And I encourage anybody listening to do that. Be the best version of yourself, because you don't know who's listening, you don't know who's watching, and you can make the conscious effort to do that.
So what are some resources on campus that students can go to if they want help?
Yeah, so we actually have on our Instagram page, it's a link tree with all of the resources. A couple off the top of my head are obviously the Student Counseling Center. They offer group therapy, individual therapy, dog therapy. So if you want to go hang out with service dogs, you can go down there. But you can always check out their website. There's also the Hope Line. So if anybody is in crisis and they fear hurting themselves or others, give the Hope Line a call. It is for Miami students, and they pick up 24/7. So that would be my first call. There's also the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That was just changed to 988, which is a really fantastic update that I'm very excited about. That is a wonderful resource. However, it gets busy because it's the national hotline. So after calling the Hope, if you'd like to call 988, that's a great option. And also the crisis text line is a great option. It is text only, so if you don't feel comfortable talking to someone over the phone, you can text them and somebody will respond to you, and you'll just go back and forth until you feel like you either got the help you need or you are finished with the conversation. And that is 741-741, and you can text anything, but if you start a conversation, I would text HOME, HOME, to 741-741. And those are the ones off the top of my head. There's also the Trevor Project for LGBTQ plus students. So yes, if you need more, there's more resources on the Instagram link tree, but those are kind of the ones on the top of my head.
Awesome. Thank you, Lexi, for your time, and I'm thankful that you're here and spreading awareness of how important mental health is to everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Of course. Some problems that I've recognized in this area are definitely the stigmatism and stereotypes that come with mental health. A lot of things that aren't working is that mental health is put on a pedestal below physical health, and a lot of people don't put importance to it, even though it is extremely important in the success of all people, students or not. I feel as though a lot is missing within this area because I think that it is not as important as it should be, and I think that what's missing is the training. I feel as though it should be implemented maybe in our schools, that we have to take a course on how to help people who are in a mental health crisis, or it should be an option to every student and pushed out even more. And what could be working better is the amount of mental health organizations we have on campus, or how many opportunities we have to get QPR trained. For my Genius Hour, I chose to do a bug list of keeping track of things that bug you throughout the day. And I came up with a list of a few things that I had observed throughout the week. Most of them involve people and what other people do, which is kind of interesting. So I have when people walk too slow, when people interrupt me, when others try to one-up me, when people distract me in class, and when people don't have manners. Those were the biggest ones of this week, and I just think that it's funny that all of them involve another party. I know that mental health isn't exactly the most creative or interesting topic that I could have researched, but personally I am very interested and curious about mental health and awareness and what we can do on especially college campuses to make mental health awareness bigger than it is right now. I feel as though it is a huge problem that not a lot of people pay attention to. And I think that researching it and doing as much as I can will help Miami do a lot better with their mental health situation. Personally, since I am an RA in a sorority dorm, I have now put up phone numbers of important contacts that my residents would need just in case. And I put them on every single door as around the hall, such as MUPD, Miami's Hope Line, our crisis hotline. And I just feel as though this gives everyone access equally if they're in a time of need. I also have the ability to spread awareness to my residents and all the residents in McCracken and Scott by including posters and spreading awareness through group chats about mental health and just making a safe and welcoming community for all people who are in need. Along with this, for me, an area of innovation is trying to get all RAs QPR certified so that every single RA knows how to respond in these types of situations. I feel as though the way that they taught us was not as in-depth or realistic as it could be, but going through a QPR training would allow us to really know how to respond to these what could be detrimental situations. I think this project was a great way for me to really delve deep into the whole mental health area because I'm always busy and I'm always doing something else, but this course gave me an excuse to really get to know the president of my club and get to know everything that she knows about mental health. And it was really interesting to hear her talk and hear her reflect on everything because I haven't been able to attend some meetings since I've been so busy and I haven't been able to put my mental health first because of school. And so doing this activity and being curious about mental health has really helped me figure out how I can do better for my residents as well as what I can do more in Miami's community and as well as on our campus. I think curiosity is very important to allow people to learn and to grow because if you're not asking questions and you're not learning, then you're not getting better.